So I recently had a conversation with two Calvinists, and luckily it was kind of respectful, at least from my sense of it. And I want to touch on the topic of presupposition and presuppositionalism and how it actually produces atheists. Now, I was an atheist myself for many, many years, and when I say atheist, I'm not an agnostic who just doesn't believe. I was a militant atheist that seeks out theists to attack their beliefs. And obviously, throughout my life, God has humbled me in many ways and brought me to the true Orthodox faith. Uh, I do want to talk about why, especially coming from an atheist background, that people are skeptic and not willing to give into mainstream Christianity. The first reason is that us living in the West, what we are exposed to mainly is Protestantism. And in Protestantism, you are given a book and you're taught to presuppose that this book is the infallible word and authority of God. And you're supposed to believe it. And usually an atheist is someone who is extremely logical or likes to think that they are logical. And the atheists actually have a presupposition of a system called science. And they utilize the system of science, which they presuppose is true, against the presupposition of the Bible is true. So it's basically two sides here. You see the evangelical Christians and the atheists. Basically, they're on the same thing. It's two presuppositions going against each other, and the idea of presuppositionalism at its core is that everybody presuppose, and you don't actually have to justify it, which is absolutely insane and illogical. But the atheist doesn't know that he is also participating in the illogical side of things, because he's also presupposing. And when you have two presupposing forces going against each other, there's really nowhere that it's going to go, because it's my presupposition versus yours, and neither of us have to justify that. And we can think that our presuppositions can counter each other's worldview however we want, but there's no justification to it. So that is why people are, I believe, are atheists, right? Because you're giving me a book and you're telling me to believe it and obey it. I mean, what's stopping me from reading like World of Warcraft novels and Lord of the Ring novels and believing the God in there? Because there's a possibility that those gods are real. And what's stopping me from presupposing that, right? Because at the end of the day, if I presuppose that science is true, then anything that is metaphysics is by default, in my presupposition, fictional. And that's the problem with atheism as well. That is why I actually, with the conversation with the other Calvinist, very nice gentleman, and he actually brought it up. I was like, okay, so I see that once Catholicism and as a whole, which includes Roman Catholics and Orthodoxy, makes their point clearly, the atheist is actually way more likely to convert to that instead of Protestantism. And again, the answer is very simple. Why? Because the whole presupposition, Christian presuppositionalists, aka these evangelical Calvinists, is that God has revealed to all men. He's himself to all men. So they're presupposing that, and they're also presupposing the idea that the Bible, the one they have at least, is the inspired word of God and is infallible. And they're presupposing that their interpretation of the text is 100% correct. But when you challenge them, just like how Father Deacon debated Matt Slick, he refused to justify his presuppositions, and he believes he doesn't have to. And when an atheist sees this stuff, it's okay, so I don't have to justify my presupposition. I can build a whole worldview off presuppositions. Then that is absolutely delusional. A few example is that, well, the core of this issue is that when you make a statement without any sort of evidence or principles, then by default, your statement is nonsense. It's not an argument. It's just a statement. And the opposite party doesn't have to disprove your assertions and presuppositions, because those things are by default not justified. But these evangelical Christians, they somehow believe that, no, that's my presupposition, and unless you can prove my presupposition wrong, it must be correct. And that is just a fallacy, because, I mean, I can give you guys two examples right now. I can say there's 6 million stars in the sky, and unless you can prove me wrong, then I'm correct. That's a fallacy. Just because that something is not proven wrong or proven wrong, it doesn't mean the other side is correct. Vice versa. And also, when you go to court, I can't take a person to court and say, hey, judge, I believe that John stole $200 from me. And that's my presupposition and assertion. I don't have to actually prove that he stole $200 from me, but he has to prove that he didn't steal $200 from me. Now, that is dangerous of presuppositionalism. And this total ignorance of basic logic is just insane, right? It's innocent, it's guilty, and you have to prove innocence, which is contrary to what a sensible society would reflect. Now we're going to dive into this short exchange, relatively friendly exchange I had with this Calvinist gentleman on Discord. I'm not on Discord a lot, but here we go.
From man's reasoning alone.
How do you know? No, how do you know?
We can see that he's immediately appealing to the man's reason without believing that he has to give an argument for that. Man's reasoning. From man's reasoning, we presuppose. That is just a fallacy.
Are you going to let me talk?
I'm asking you, how do you know? You're not explaining. You're
You would figure it out. You would
giving me
figure it out
assertions.
if you would let me talk.
No, because you're giving me assertions. I don't want your assertions. I want to know, how do you know?
How do I know?
I'm asking you a pre-biblical question.
God has made it known to me that he exists and he's just made me alive in Christ.
How, through what?
Through what? Through the blood of his son.
How do you know? Through the Bible, right?
How do I know? No, because of divine revelation, God's made it known to every single man that.
So God.
So notice here he's presupposing that the triune God, the God of Christianity, not just any entity, the triune God, the God of Christianity, in his opinion, has already been revealed to each individual person. But he doesn't believe he needs to justify that. And that is absolutely debatable, because an atheist would obviously say something the contrary.
Told you that his son's blood is doing something without the Bible. That is absolutely ridiculous. No, that's actually not what I'm getting him to admit, because he already said he's a presuppositionalist.
I am a presuppositionalist, but I'm a transcendentalist too, and that's what you're missing. Is the whole point is I'm seeking the preconditions for the possibility.
But you have to justify that.
Morality.
But you have to justify.
How are these things possible?
I don't understand how you can be a presuppositionalist while being a transcendentalist, because the transcendental argument is using deductive reasoning. When you, as a presuppositionalist, you already assumed everything. So why do you even need to deduct? when you believed your presuppositions are not questionable.
What we're seeking, right? And so, like again, when we talk about transcendentalism, we're saying, how is knowledge or experience possible? How can I rationalize? Why do I reconcile my experience? No one just believes one thing. Not only that, we presuppose so many things.
Yeah, but that in
Yeah, but he presupposed the Christian God, which is one thing. This is absolutely self-contradicting.
no way proves
No,
that
listen,
the Christian
like,
system
no,
is true. That's not what I'm asking
no,
you.
you don't understand the argument.
I do understand. You don't understand the argument. You're not even answering the question. I'm asking you your justification and your epistemics on the Bible.
That I'm not even going to be able to get an argument across.
Because you don't have one. You're a presuppositionalist, like you admitted.
No, you would like me to stay in this place where I can't even answer your question.
No, because that you're not answering my question. I'm not asking you how do you know. I'm asking you a principle.
God is the precondition of intelligence.
How do you know that? How do you know that?
You won't even let me finish my sentence. You won't even let me finish this sentence.
The reason I'm not letting him finish his sentence is because he's presupposing. He keeps on presupposing because God. I'm asking you, how do you know God is true? What is your principle to determine that the God of the Bible is true? He's appealing to God. So he's appealing to the thing that's in question, which is a fallacy. If a police pull over a criminal and ask him, what is your name? And when the person says, my name is John, doesn't mean his name is John? No. I mean, you can't appeal to the thing that's in question.
I know what you believe. You gotta tell me how you believe,
It
though.
doesn't matter. You won't even let me finish my sentence. No, you don't
Yeah,
even care
keep
what I have to say.
manifesting. I do care about what you have to say, but you're not answering my question. I know what you believe.
You don't care how this conversation will go.
No, I
And the
do,
reason why is
actually.
because you want to hear yourself speak right now.
Now
You're
you're just
talking over
manifesting.
people and you're interrupting me every chance you get. I can leave this call right now and you'd probably still be talking.
No. I want you to give me an answer. That's why I'm asking you a question. I'm asking you, how do you know? Okay, exactly. So just no answer.
So
No
he
answer.
started to, so at this point he's already started to manifest.
You're still talking. Cool.
Because I'm trying to engage you in a conversation.
Just let him answer the question then.
No, he's not answering my question. I don't want him to assert what he believes.
You just keep talking over him, so just let him.
No, because I already heard
The reason, like, it might seem rude to people to cut people off, but the moment they start appealing to the thing in question, you have to stop your opponent because that he's begging the question. So there's no point of giving him another 5 minutes to have him lecture and preach because he's not answering the question by questioning his the thing in question. So
first part what he had to say. It's not what I'm asking.
Let him ask the question. Why are you being so ridiculous?
Because he's not answering the question. He's restating his argument.
Oh my gosh,
Listen.
don't answer the question. How old are you? 5?
No, because you don't understand anything. You need to be quiet, woman. You're a woman. You're not supposed to talk like that to me. So you need to remain silent like a good woman you are. Okay. So let him answer the question. Let him answer the question. If he's going to be able to answer the question, he can answer the question.
So basically, from this point on, it just went to just throwing tantrum, and eventually we got back into a pretty good setting and talk about, because I really don't care about Protestants. They're really the Roman Catholics' problems, but I do spend a lot of time talking to evangelical Christians because I do believe that religion is a mockery of Christianity. But yeah, we've seen that every time when I ask him to justify your presuppositions, he doesn't feel like there's a need that he needs to do that. And when he tries to do it, he appeals to his presuppositions to justify itself. He believes that somehow it is self-evident. But if it's self-evident, then how come there are so many atheists and people who are not Christians or theists that claims the contrary? So it's obviously not self-evident. And it's hardly, nothing is hardly actually self-evident. But this is the dangerous belief of presuppositionalism, because through presuppositionalism and the belief, it's really the belief that you don't have to justify your presuppositions that's dangerous. That sort of belief it's just dangerous to the society, because I can get a group of people to admit to presuppositions based on their personal revelations and technically go anywhere with that. And when an atheist is hyper logical, at least in their own sense that they are hyper logical, I don't understand how you can hope that the atheist convert, especially when you're Calvinist. It's already this guy's a 5-point Calvinist. You already believe that if the person can be a Christian, he's going to be saved, and that's up to God's providence, right? So that shows the atheist that, one, you don't believe you need to justify your claim. Two, you believe that if the atheist does not become a Christian, then it is God damning the atheist. So the atheist feels that, oh, so your God is damning me to hell for being an atheist, which is a very stupid thing to say to people, especially in apologetics. So that's all I have today, and probably I'll have to do a video on dispensationalism, which will be either long or I'll put it in a separate, in a few different parts.